Hello, coin collectors and history buffs. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got something truly exciting to talk about. Something that many of you might not expect from such a small, humble coin. We're diving into the fascinating world of the United States 1-cent coin from 1944, a coin that could be worth a lot more than you might think. While most people are familiar with the standard penny, the 1944 version holds a special place in the hearts of coin collectors due to its historical significance, unique characteristics, and potential value. Stick around until the end, where we'll uncover just how much this coin could fetch on the market today. So, why is this seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin from 1944 so valuable? Well, let's start by taking a look at the time period when it was minted. The year 1944 was right in the middle of World War II, a time of major upheaval and change in the United States. During the war, the U.S. government needed to focus on producing materials for the war effort, and copper, which was traditionally used in the production of pennies, was in high demand. Because of this, the U.S. Mint had to make a significant adjustment in the composition of the 1-cent coin. Instead of the usual copper alloy, the 1944 pennies were struck using steel, which had been coated with a thin layer of zinc. This was a wartime measure to conserve copper for ammunition, tanks, and other military supplies. This change created a very distinct look for the penny, one that set it apart from other coins of the era. The coins that were struck in 1944 became known as the steel cents, and they carry with them a sense of history that makes them particularly valuable to collectors today. But let's talk about the design itself. The 1944 penny, just like most U.S. pennies, features the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. This famous portrait of Lincoln has graced the U.S. penny since 1909, and it remains one of the most recognizable images on American coinage. On the reverse side, we have the traditional design featuring two wheat stalks, symbolizing the country's agricultural roots. The phrase, "E pluribus unum," out of many, one, is inscribed, reflecting the unity of the United States. Now, let's get into the specifics of what makes this 1944 penny valuable. In the years following World War II, the U.S. Mint returned to producing the traditional copper pennies, and the steel cents of 1944 were no longer in circulation. Most of these coins were spent, damaged, or lost to time. But there's a twist to the story. Some 1944 pennies were accidentally struck using leftover steel planchets that had been intended for the wartime steel cents. These rare pennies, known as 1944 steel cents, are the ones that have captured the attention of collectors and numismatists around the world. To make things clearer, there are two distinct types of 1944 pennies. The standard copper 1944 penny. This is the regular penny minted in 1944 after the U.S. Mint resumed its normal production using copper. These coins are common and not particularly valuable beyond their face value. The rare 1944 steel penny. This is the coin that collectors are truly after. The steel penny was a mistake, and it's considered one of the rarest U.S. pennies in existence. These coins were only accidentally produced in small quantities, and they are extremely difficult to find today. The rarity of these steel pennies is what drives their value. Because the 1944 steel penny is such a rare find, collectors and investors are willing to pay premium prices for one in good condition. So, how much can you expect to get for one of these elusive coins? It all depends on the condition of the coin, but even in average circulated condition, a 1944 steel penny could fetch a substantial amount. However, if you manage to find one in pristine or uncirculated condition, the price can skyrocket. Now, here comes the most exciting part. The value of a 1944 steel penny in mint condition, especially one with sharp details and no signs of wear, can be absolutely astonishing. In fact, it's not uncommon for these rare steel pennies to sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Collectors are willing to pay big money for these historical relics because of their rarity, unique composition, and connection to one of the most important periods in modern history. The most impressive sales of the 1944 steel penny have seen prices reach upwards of $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. $65,000 for a single 1944 steel penny. For those of you out there with old coin collections, or who might have inherited a stash of pennies, it's definitely worth checking for any 1944 steel pennies. Even if you're not sure if you have one, it's always a good idea to get it appraised by a professional or take it to a reputable coin dealer who can help you determine its value. So, to recap, while most 1944 pennies are just regular copper coins worth only a cent, if you happen to find one of those rare 1944 steel pennies, you could be sitting on a small fortune. It just goes to show that sometimes, it's not the size of the coin that matters, but the history behind it that makes it truly valuable. Today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most intriguing and valuable coins from the mid-20th century, the United States 1-cent coin from 1949. When most people think of pennies, they probably don't imagine them being worth much more than their face value. But the 1949 penny is no ordinary coin, and in the world of rare and collectible currency, it's actually a hidden gem. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at just how much this small piece of history could be worth. First, let's take a quick journey back in time to 1949, a year that might seem a little distant for some of us. It was a time when the United States was recovering from the aftermath of World War II. The country was in a period of economic growth and transformation, with the Cold War tensions beginning to shape the political landscape. The penny of 1949 was struck during this transitional time, and the design had a lot of meaning, just like the coins that came before it. You're probably familiar with the design of the U.S. penny, which has featured Abraham Lincoln on the obverse front since 1909. The portrait of Lincoln was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it has become one of the most iconic images in American numismatics. On the reverse side, we've got the classic design featuring two stalks of wheat, which have represented the agricultural heart of the United States since 1909 as well. The motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one, also appears, reflecting the unity of the nation. But the real story behind the 1949 penny is what sets it apart from other years. There's something special about it, something that makes it particularly sought after by coin collectors. You see, in 1949, the U.S. Mint faced a tricky issue. It needed to produce large quantities of pennies to meet the demands of a growing post-war economy. And while most pennies struck in the late 1940s were made from copper, 1949 saw a continuation of the wartime transition that started during World War II. Now, many of you might be aware that during the war, copper was a precious material in short supply, so the U.S. Mint briefly experimented with different metal compositions for the penny. However, by 1949, the government had returned to using 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc for pennies, and yet, not all of them were produced in equal numbers. The 1949 penny holds a certain allure among collectors due to a rare variety that is especially hard to find. What makes the 1949 penny so rare and valuable comes down to something very specific, a minting error that took place that year. In 1949, the U.S. Mint produced pennies in two distinct ways, one with a smooth, regular finish and another with a very specific, subtle die error. This error made some of the pennies appear to have a slight doubling of the date or the lettering. This is often referred to as the 1949 double die variety. When you find a 1949 penny with a double die feature, it's like discovering a hidden treasure. The error isn't immediately obvious to the untrained eye, but when you carefully examine the coin, you'll notice the faint doubling in the date, 1949, and sometimes even on the word, liberty, or in God we trust. These double strike errors were caused by the die being misaligned, and they resulted in some very unique and rare coins that are highly coveted by collectors today. You might be asking, what makes these 1949 pennies worth so much money? Well, it's all about rarity, condition, and the specific variety. The majority of 1949 pennies produced were regular coins that are easy to find, but the double die versions, those are a completely different story. And as with most collectible coins, the better the condition, the higher the price. A 1949 penny in regular, circulated condition may only be worth a few cents more than its face value. But if you manage to find one of the double die varieties, especially one in uncirculated or near perfect condition, you're looking at a potential goldmine. The price for a well-preserved 1949 double die penny can be astonishing, with some rare examples fetching tens of thousands of dollars at auction. That's right, a single 1949 penny could be worth far more than what you might expect. And now, for the exciting part, if you find a 1949 double die penny in excellent condition, or perhaps one that's been graded and authenticated by a professional numismatist, you could be holding a coin worth a staggering $60,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $60,000 for a single penny. While this is an extreme example, and the majority of 1949 double die pennies won't fetch such a high price, it's a clear indicator of just how valuable these coins can become if you happen to have one in your collection. If you think you might have a 1949 penny, or if you come across one while sorting through old change, it's definitely worth taking the time to examine it closely. You'll want to look for that subtle doubling in the date or lettering and check the overall condition. If you're unsure, it's a good idea to take it to a reputable coin dealer or get it professionally graded. The next time you're digging through a jar of old pennies or hunting for treasure at a coin shop, don't overlook that 1949 penny. It could be more than just a little piece of history. It could be a rare and valuable coin worth a small fortune. Today, we're diving into the world of one of the most intriguing pennies from the mid-20th century, the United States one-cent coin from 1957. You might think a penny is just a penny, but as you'll soon discover, the 1957 penny is a hidden gem that holds more value than you might imagine. Stay tuned as we uncover the fascinating history, design, and potential worth of this small but mighty coin. Let's take a step back to 1957. The United States was in the middle of a post-World War II economic boom. The country was experiencing rapid growth, and American society was evolving in exciting ways. The penny, however, remained largely unchanged in design during this era. Since 1909, the U.S. Mint had been using the famous Abraham Lincoln portrait by Victor David Brenner for the obverse front of the coin, and the reverse featured the iconic wheat stalks, symbolizing America's agricultural roots. This design had been in circulation for nearly half a century by the time 1957 rolled around, and it would soon be replaced by a new design in the 1959. But the 1957 penny holds particular significance for collectors. The key to its value lies not just in its historical context or its design, but in the specific characteristics of certain 1957 pennies, especially those with rare and unique features that make them worth far more than their face value. One of the most exciting things about the 1957 penny is the presence of rare varieties, which can significantly increase the value of the coin. While the majority of 1957 pennies were struck with a standard copper alloy, some were minted with slight differences that make them particularly sought after. The 1957 penny is known for a rare type of error, one that can make the coin worth far more than its face value. This error involves the die used to strike the coins, leading to a slight variation in the details of the design. These subtle but significant differences make these error coins highly prized among collectors. The most notable error associated with the 1957 penny is the 1957 double die variety. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin was misaligned, causing parts of the design, including the date and the word Liberty, to appear double or blurred. This type of error is known as a double die because the die was struck multiple times, creating the illusion of doubling in certain areas of the coin. If you happen to find a 1957 penny with this double die error, you've just stumbled upon a highly valuable collector's item. These double die coins are not as common as regular 1957 pennies, and that's what makes them so appealing to collectors. While they were not rare at the time of their minting, the passage of decades and the wear and tear on these coins have made the double die varieties increasingly scarce. Coins like these are in high demand, and depending on their condition, they can command impressive prices. It's not just the double die variety that makes the 1957 penny worth so much. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its value. As with most collectibles, the better the condition, the higher the price. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition is far more valuable than one that has been worn down through years of use. When a 1957 penny is well preserved, collectors can pay a premium for it, especially if it has a rare variety or minting error. For the most part, 1957 pennies in average condition are still fairly affordable. They're easy to find, and their value is generally limited to just a few cents above their face value. However, for those 1957 pennies with a double die error or those in perfect condition, the price can soar to astonishing levels. And that brings us to the most exciting part of the story. How much could a rare and valuable 1957 penny be worth? Well, for those lucky enough to own a 1957 double die penny in uncirculated or excellent condition, the value can be significant. One of these rare coins can fetch as much as $58,000 when it's sold to the right collector. That's right, $58,000 for a single penny. It's amazing to think that something as small and seemingly insignificant as a penny could hold so much value. But the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and the 1957 penny is a perfect example of how rarity, condition, and historical significance can make a coin worth far more than its face value. If you're wondering whether you have a 1957 double die penny in your collection, take a closer look at your coins. Carefully examine the date and the lettering for any signs of doubling. If you see a doubling effect on the 1957 or the word Liberty, it's time to get that penny appraised. Even if you don't see any errors, it's always worth checking the condition of your 1957 pennies. You might be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. The bottom line is that the 1957 penny, especially those with minting errors or in pristine condition, is a highly valuable coin for collectors. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone just starting to explore the world of coin collecting, the 1957 penny is one that's worth keeping an eye out for. If you enjoyed learning about the value of the 1957 penny and want to discover more about rare and valuable coins, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more exciting discoveries. You never know, the next treasure could be hiding in your spare change. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting!